The 2021 NBA All-Star starters have been announced today. Now, there is some controversy among the way, so I'm going to mention a couple of them. But starting off in the Eastern Conference, within the guard spots, we have Kyrie Irving and Bradley Beal. Now, when it comes to voting, there's three rankings between them, which is fan voting, players voting, and media voting, as fan voting accounts for 50% of total votes. Now, Bradley Beal had the most votes out of every guard on this list. He was ranked number one across the board between fan, player, and media rankings, as he will be a starter for the All-Star game for the first time in his career, even though he did not make the All-Star game last year, as he averaged up to 30 points per game, but the team did not have much success last season, and they still don't have much success this year as well, even though with the additions of Russell Westbrook, but nonetheless have received the voting. Now, the other player that is starting among him is Kyrie Irving. He was ranked 2 across the board, except for media rankings. He was ranked 4th behind his teammate James Harden. Now, James Harden will be likely coming off the bench, and this will be the first time he's not going to be starting in an All-Star game since 2015. And by the way, Chicago Bulls' Zach LaVine is right behind them on the list. Now, crossing over to the fours, we have Kevin Durant. He is the captain for the Eastern Conference, as he was ranked first between fan and player rankings, but the media had him at 3rd behind Giannis and Joel Embiid, as those two guys will make up the Eastern front court. But Giannis was ranked number 2 in fan and player voting, whereas Joel Embiid was ranked number 3. But both of those guys were ranked ahead of Kevin Durant. And behind those guys on their tails is Jason Tatum and Jimmy Butler, more than likely going to make the list as a reserve. Now, on to the Western Conference, LeBron James is going to be the captain. He was ranked number 1 across the board, and Nikola Jokic is ranked number 2 across the board as well. And number 3, we have Kawhi Leonard. He was ranked number 3, except for player rankings. They had Anthony Davis over him. However, he was ranked 5th in media board and 4th on fan rankings. But because Kawhi had the advantage in 2 of the 3 rankings, he is going to be a starter for the Western Conference. And more than likely, Anthony Davis is not going to play because of the calf strain he suffered over the past week. Now, on to the Western Conference backcourt. This is where things get interesting. Starting off is Stephen Curry. He was ranked number 1 across the board unanimously. But number 2 is where things get interesting. Luka Doncic was voted as a starter for the backcourt, even though Damian Lillard had the advantage in 2 of the 3 spots. But because one of the spots that Luka Doncic had the advantage over was fan ranking, as mentioned previously, it accounts for 50% of the vote. He has the advantage over Damian Lillard, with Donovan Mitchell right behind him. We're more than likely going to see a lot of players opting out of the NBA All-Star game, including LeBron James. As mentioned previously, he is more than likely not going to play due to the lack of rest that he had received throughout the offseason, with the shortened rest that he had before he has to go back on the hardwood floor within 5 days for the second half of the season. So we're going to see a lot more players making the All-Star game for the first time or second time or so, because of the players that are currently making it as starters. They're probably going to opt out, as mentioned, and we're going to see new faces among the way. The All-Star reserve spots will be announced later on in a couple of weeks, and it's going to be interesting who's going to make the final spots. Now, I will mention one last thing. Charles Barkley stated that he believes Damian Lillard and Donovan Mitchell should start the All-Star game over Steph Curry and Luka Doncic. Now, Barkley made that statement because he believes in more of team record overall. And with the Jazz having the best record in the NBA and the Portland Trailblazers having one of the better records in the NBA, even though they're missing out on CJ McCollum, he believes that Damian Lillard and Donovan Mitchell should be the starters over Luka and Steph Curry. That's all for now, you guys. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share with others, as I will see you guys next time.